Yo, what's up YouTube? It's your boy Demonte bringing you a banger. Don't forget to follow on my Twitch, please. This is where we have daily content. Hey, what's up everybody? Hopefully you guys enjoyed my best copycat builds video and my best hacker builds video. Now, we're going to take a turn into the best biker builds video. Hopefully you guys will enjoy this, and let's go ahead and get into it. So let's get into some tips real quick. So if you're using a 90 armor biker, which is one of the builds in this build here, if you get shouted from the ground with a painkiller shout, you will change 225 damage to 31.5. And 31.5, adding it together, if you add it together 3 times, you get 94.5, which, you know, taking in consideration that our armor is 90, you could take 3 shots of 225 and then have to be worried about an armor regen after a painkiller shot. Now let's go ahead and talk about snipers for the 90 armor setup. If you take the 240 damage from a sniper, it'll only attack the HP for 150, so 230 HP minus 150 leaves you with 80 HP, and 80 HP inside biker is really good because you can easily build yourself right back up to 230 in no time. So as we've mentioned, if biker breaks its armor and we're using either 90 armor or above, we'll regen 5 armor. What that does for us in the build is that we're still missing out on 90% of the armor, which allows us to regen our build 0.9 seconds quicker. So with that being considered, the same thing is also being stated inside your health. If you're 90% health missing, that timer is 0.9 seconds faster because you'll have a 90% health missing. So that's why in this build it's not actually a good idea to grab a joker. It's more of a good idea to get around a 90 to over 90 armor, and you're mostly wanting to work around a 230 HP so that every time you take damage, you're at the fastest armor regen imaginable for that build. So the same thing is said for when you break your armor and you regen 5 armor. You want to only regen 5, not bullseye for 25 and blah blah blah. You just want to regen 5 because you still want to be missing all of that armor so that you can regen the next armor as fast as possible. Because if we're considering death sentence here, 225 damage can be thrown at you at 0.35 seconds. So 0.35 seconds without the reaction timer being thrown at you, because that's always changing essentially. You basically will need to have this in your arsenal. A fast armor regen through all of your armor missing, and then the same thing said for all of your health missing. Now I know I just touched on this, but as I was mentioning, if you do grab a joker and it puts you at 299 HP, that's roughly when you do take 225 damage, leaving you with 25 to 30% of your HP left over. And if you understand how the biker deck actually works, you're only getting like 70 to 60% of that armor, regen percentage. That's not what you're wanting to build around. So the same thing is shown is that if we're using the 230 HP and I'm only having, 90 armor or above, that'll allow me to get my 4 armor regens in that 4 second time period. And that's the max. But once that 4 has been achieved, it goes through reset, and then you're ready to do it again. And those 4 armor regens is something that not even the anarchist can survive. And then one other thing I want to mention is that if you do take 225 damage to your 230 HP pool and you're playing with like 90 armor or above and no joker, it roughly takes about 30 seconds to actually get back all of the HP that you've lost and get back to full HP. Now, regening that much HP, like just to put it into perspective real quick, 225 or 230 HP, whatever one you want to work with, inside of muscle, which muscle having hostage taker as well, plus the 460 HP pool, is 25 to 30 seconds as well. So if you're looking at the two, one of the highest HP decks, which is muscle, which is allowing you to regen 225 damage in about 25 to 30 seconds, the same thing is happening for the biker here. You almost have the same amount of life regen and the same amount of speed as the muscle does. You only have 230 that you're working with. Now that I put that into the perspective in the minds of the players, biker can play like the anarchist and have life regen nearly like the muscle and the grinder, but it's able to survive things better than the anarchist can in certain scenarios as long as kills are being dished out. let's get into the skills for the build here. We have Combat Medic for the 30% damage reduction, and we have Stable Shut for the stability. Next, I'm grabbing myself the Shock and Awe Ace so that I can stagger enemies with my primary SMGs. I'm also grabbing Bullseye Basic, so if I'm not capable of grabbing a kill, I'm still capable of getting armor. Next, I'm getting fully loaded specifically inside this build because ammo nets me more life and HP than the actual first aid kits will do for me, so therefore we're grabbing after ammo. Next, I'm going after Body Expertise, Surefire, and Lock and Load. You need to have massive damage output in this setup, so therefore we're grabbing it. Next, we're going for crits, high value target, and we're also pairing together the sprint skills. And then lastly, we grab things like Akimbo, so we have extra ammo once again inside my Akimbos. And then we're for the secret sauce of the build, for the extra damage, we're using the Berserker. So if we do take 225 damage and we get placed at 5 HP, then we'll be tearing through everyone, getting our HP back really fast. For the weapons here, I use the Civilian Barrel because it gives me an accuracy increase. Next, I'm using the Bigger the Better for the accuracy and stability increases. As for the boost, we go for an accuracy +4. As for the gadget, I'm using LED combo, +8 to the stability. For lower receivers, we do use the custom assault frame. As for the magazine, I am using quick mags. As for the secondary, we're using the Krinkhoff here. We're using the Bigger the Better suppressor for accuracy stability increases. As for the boosts, we're using a accuracy increase to get that 100%. As for the extras, I'm using the scope mount, so therefore the sight doesn't go on the front of the gun, it comes on the back of the gun. As for the foregrip, we're also using the Moscow Special. As for the gadgets here, I'm using the LED combo, 8+ to the stability. AK plastic grip for the 8 accuracy increase. Then as for the magazines here, I am using the speed pool. As for sights, purely optional. You don't really have to work with concealment here, but I went for the Seymour sight. And as for the stocks, I go for the classic stock for that +12 stability, +4 accuracy. Then upper receivers is purely personal. If you want to take that, you can. This is LMG Biker, yielding Iron Man ICTB armor, also grabbing myself a first aid kit, 2 minutes of 10% damage reduction, so that I have 2-shot, 225 armor to the armor that I'm using. I'm also grabbing a Joker to give myself that 299 HP, and let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go over skills for the build here. For this one, I'm using first aid kits and I'm having quick fix ace so that my 2 minutes of damage reduction actually works for my 225 damage for the armor. I'll be on that in just a moment. For hostage taker and a partners in crime bonus so that we have extra HP and we have a consistent HP regen. Now getting back to the armor scenario, inside Iron Man, we're getting 221 armor, with the skill inside the first aid kits giving us 2 minutes of 10% damage reduction. That allows us to work with a 2-shot armor value inside of Biker. Next, I'm using Body Expertise, Surefire, Lock and Load, pairing these things together for the LMG. Next, I'm grabbing a little bit of Duck and Cover plus the speed skill from Partners in Crime. Then I'm also grabbing High Value Target plus Unseen Strike. As for the LMG, I go for the Long Barrel for the accuracy and stability increases. Next is the Bigger the Better for the accuracy and stability increases. We go for the Bipod because why not? As for the boosts here, you get a couple of options. I go for the stability. And for the gadget, I am using the LED combo for extra stability increases. Now, as for the stock here, we have a couple of good options, but I went for the solid stock to give me extra stability increases, getting us to a 88 stability. As for the Krinkhoff here, we're using the Bigger the Better suppressor. As for the boosts, I'm using an accuracy. As for the extra, I do use the scope mount to get the scope on the back of the gun, rather than it being in the front of the gun. As for the foregrip, I do use the Moscow Special for that stability increase. As for the gadget, I'm using LED combo for that stability increase. As for the grip, I'm using the AK plastic grip for the accuracy increases. As for the magazine, I still go for the speed pull. As for the sights, not really working around a detection risk here, so it's purely optional. I go for Seymour. And then as for the stocks, I go for the classic stock, giving me that 12 stability increase. And then lastly, you can grab the upper receiver if wanted. This build here is a assault rifle SMG biker, yielding a ballistic vest for 90 armor. The biggest uses for it is that it has full crits and it can be a very long to medium range setup, and it's very mobile, so hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Let's go over the skills for the build here. We grab ourselves aggressive reload, pairing it together with rifleman and stable shot. Then we're grabbing things like shock and awe for the aggressive staggering of the shields plus the armor regen passive. We're actually using bullseye once again. Next, I'm grabbing myself extra lead. So the same thing in the first build, we're not using first aid kits in the sense of getting our health back. We're using ammo bags in the sense to get our health back. Next, I'm grabbing body expertise, surefire, and lock and load. And then I'm grabbing myself full crits, pairing that together with high value target and the sprint skills. And then lastly, we have the secret sauce being the berserker. As for the gun here, I'm using the CQB barrel, which gives me a concealment, damage, and accuracy increase. Next, I'm using the bigger the better suppressor with the concealment skill, so therefore it's helping. Next, inside the boosts, I'm using concealment boost, gets us to 23. As for the foregrip, you have two choices. I go for the Belgian heat handguard, which allows me to get a +1 to the concealment. As for the gadgets, I'm using the compact laser. As for the magazine here, I do use the speed pull mag. As for the actual sights, I don't have any sights on here, but do note you can use the compact profile sight, which does not minus any concealment, and that will allow you to have sight. Lastly, I grabbed the Caesar stock, which allows me to get +8 stability, and then also a +2 to my concealment. As for my secondary, I'm using the Compact 5 submachine gun built for complete, I almost said stealth, but built for complete concealment. Next, I'm using the low profile suppressor with the +1 to the concealment. As for the foregrip here, I'm using the, not really sure how you pronounce that, but the barrel that allows you to have a +3 to your concealment, the smallest one. Next, I'm using the compact laser for no statistical change. As for the magazine, technically you can go for this for the bigger damage, but you need to really work around with some of your other stuff, so we don't go for it. As for sights, the same thing that was set on the primary, you can throw on this sight right here, which has no concealment minus, which will allow you to have a sight for the gun at least. And then lastly, we do end up removing the stock for that +4 concealment, which allows us to have a 33 concealment overall with the weapon. Moving on to the favorite of the builds, we have the Shotgun Biker, classic meta that is. We yield the 70 armor ballistic vest while grabbing ourselves buckshot AP, also using a fire shotgun over the key rounds, the explosive rounds that is. And let's get right into it. Let's go over skills for the build here. I have myself first aid kits for the aggressive playstyle, and we also have stability for the shotgun. Next, I'm grabbing myself overkill for that damage increase after I get a kill. Next, I'm pairing things like Die Hard for the 70 armor ballistic vest, or something along those lines, I can't remember at the moment. And then we also have shock and awe and bullseye. Next, I'm using things like body expertise because this actually affects automatic shooting weapons, and I believe it should still be affecting the shotgun. Next, I'm using the surefire ace because buckshot now is armor pierce. What can go wrong? Next, I'm using sprint skills plus the inner pockets plus the optical illusions plus full crits and the high value target, all together giving me, full damage value that I need. And then lastly, I'm grabbing the Berserker skill, which is allowing me at low HP to really dish out one-shot kills to pretty much all the enemy. As for the shotgun here, as I mentioned, it is buckshot, so therefore we go for the buckshot rounds. As for the barrel, we go for the short barrel for that minus accuracy, minus stability, and a plus to the concealment. As for the barrel nozzle extension, you have a few options here, and it's just play style. I go for the shark teeth because it allows my spread to be flat. Some people like it to be, you know, a wide circle, a small circle, and then I'm not really sure what this one does. It's just personal preference. You guys decide what you like. Next, I'm going for a -4 to the accuracy. As for the custom here, I do go for the damage, or for the auto fire, which gives me damage increase, stability increase, and -2 to the accuracy. As for the charging handle here, we do go for it as well for that -2 to the accuracy, and that +2 to the stability. As for the foregrip, we go for hollow handle, which allows us to have more concealment. As for the laser sight here, we do go for the one that gives us no statistical change. Next, I'm going for the AK wood grip for that +12 stability increase. Next, I'm going for the Big Brother magazine. Let's do point out that this only gives you a +4 to your mag capacity, so in reality, it may not be worth for every player. So that 2 concealment can be thrown elsewhere if need be. Next, you have a few options of sights here. For concealment wise, you don't have any room the way that I built it, but you do have an option to put on this one if need be. And as you see, you can still work with your stability and have that sight. Next, we're going for the classic stock for that +4 accuracy, +12 stability, and a - to the concealment. Thankfully, we do have enough concealment here, so we still have 23. As for the last part of the gun, we do actually go for the railed cover here, which gives us a +2 to our damage, a -4 to our accuracy, and a +4 to our stability. Now, for those who don't know, shotguns are actually better with less accuracy, making their spread much more wide. So therefore, having a gun with 20 accuracy is perfectly fine in this scenario. As for the judge here, I have the legendary skin, so there's no modifications done. But the only thing that's important here is that you have Dragon's Breath round and that you're concealing the weapon. Other than that, be free to throw anything you want on here, as long as you are concealing it and getting the Dragon's Breath. And with that, that concludes our video. If you guys enjoy the biker perk deck, please let me know in the comment section below. If you guys are new here, please like the channel, leave me a comment, and sub here if you're new. We do a lot of Payday and shooters and open world and whole mess of different games, trying to branch out into other stuff. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that stuff. Thank you, and leave me a comment if you do.